Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Richard Byrne, and thank you for joining me tonight for 3 things we can do to quickly transition to online teaching. Like a lot of you, my school is also shut down. We got the announcement yesterday, and we don't have any students. They're all at home. We still have students. They're all just at home now. We, meaning my school, we did have to go in today. All the staff had to go in today to do some planning and to do some getting stuff out of the classrooms, literally in some cases. Uh, so not only am I talking about this, I'm actually practicing everything that I'm going to share today. I'm actually practicing it in my own school, in my own school district right now. Before we go too much further here, I want to note that I'm actually using Canva to create these slides and do some presentations tonight. And we're going to, as we go through tonight, we'll toggle in and out of these slides and look at a couple of different resources outside of the slides. Before we get too far into the meat of tonight, I want to talk about just some logistics. Everything you see on my screen tonight is being recorded. I'll post the recording and my slides on my YouTube channel later tonight, or hopefully tomorrow morning at the latest. And I'll also email it to everyone who is signed up for the webinar. I'll email a copy of my slides and a copy of the recording to you as well, so you can go back and watch it if you want to, share it with your friends, your colleagues if you'd like to. I'm more than happy to have you do that. A couple other quick little things here. We're all in this together. For most of us, this is kind of uncharted territory to have to make this quick transition to providing online learning for our students. And we're all going to learn together. We're all going to learn how this works together. Now, I've been doing webinars for 10 years, but those all been for teachers and people who have signed up to be there, right? Now I'm getting into a position where I'm going to have freshmen and sophomores and juniors and one senior who didn't sign up for online classes and now are going to be learning how to learn online at the same time that I'm teaching high school students online for the first time as well. So we have a whole lot of people in here tonight. We have 126 people registered, and my attendee list keeps shooting up as we go. So we've got a lot of voices in here, got a lot of people in here. Feel free to ask questions and add comments as you see fit throughout the webinar. I don't have a firm sense of when I'm going to end. It's probably about 45 minutes probably. But if it goes longer, great. Please use that chat function or that question and answer function and put your comments and your questions in there, and I'll try to cover them or share them with the group as needed. So on that, sorry. And one other thing I need to do before we get in there, I need to give a lot of credit to my friend Wendy Robichaud. Dr. Wendy Robichaud is a colleague of mine, and she is a doctor of online learning. She's her doctorate in online learning and designing online learning activities. And she helped me out a lot this afternoon with some ideas. We kind of brainstormed some things to include in tonight's webinar. She wanted to be here tonight, but she's actually packing up her son's apartment so that he can get out of his living situation, if you will. I guess that's probably the best way to put it, right? A lot of you who have college-age students know that feeling, I think. All right. So, some food for thought. As I was talking with Wendy this afternoon, and actually this morning, we had to be at school this morning as well. Some food for thought. Not coming into our school building is going to have a bigger impact on some of our students than others. For some of our students who rely on school for free and reduced lunch, who rely on school for the safe place in their lives, not coming to school is going to have a much bigger impact than our students who might come from a more stable background, either financially and or socially. So let's keep that in mind when we're putting expectations on our middle school or high school students or elementary school students for that matter. for some of them, it's going to be a huge burden to be at home and learning, or at home and trying to learn while also trying to manage everything else that may be going on in their lives. And this is one that I came up with because Wendy kind of Wendy's always bugging me about my email. I'm not the fastest emailer. I try, but my inbox is always full. Recognize that high school and middle school students might be getting a flood of communications from teachers right now. Think of your own inbox and how you feel when your inbox is full. If you've been away from school for a week and you come back, how do you feel? Now picture yourself as that 14-year-old who has that flooded inbox, right? They don't know where to begin. So keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, it takes time, it takes practice to get good at giving online instruction. And it's going to take our students some time to figure that out as well. And Stacy said, yeah, students generally don't read email, right? So that's going to be a change for some of our students too. That they might have to check their email regularly for the first time in a while. So let's start with item number 1. And this is a big one, right? We want to try to minimize surprises for our students, but also create some clear expectations of what's to happen now. And so to that end, minimizing those surprises can have a different look depending on our students, even within our same school building. Right? Like some of my students have different needs than what Wendy's students have. Right? And we're in the same school building. Right? So it's going to look different, right? But as kind of a general outline, let's confirm our kids have reliable computer and internet access. If they don't, we're going to need that plan B. Now, in my district, our plan B right now is old school, mail, like sending mailed packages with books and papers to do, work to do, and that work to do. And Wendy made this point to us today, that we need to not try to introduce a ton of new topics. Right? We're not trying to do a ton of new topics, especially that first week. We just want to reinforce some standards or reinforce what we've already done. Keep things fresh, not slide backwards in that first week or 2 weeks. Yeah, yikes, snail mail. Someone just said, yikes, snail mail. Yeah, we're going to actually mail stuff out for some of those students who don't have reliable internet access at home. To that end, once you've established that, and for me, this morning and this early afternoon, I actually made phone calls home to every one of those on my roster. So every kid that's on my roster, I called home to whoever the contact person was, whether it was mom or dad, or I have a couple of grandparents who are the custodial guardians, and I made phone calls home to set that up and talk about some expectations, so that we have that communication started before. So it's not just boom, Mr. Byrne is now sending out tons of emails or putting in a whole bunch of stuff in Google Classroom. That's not what I'm going to do. Let's set up some clear expectations. We're going to make, I made a video today. To talk to my students about what's going to happen over the next couple of days, next week, and for the foreseeable future. So I just shot a 2-minute video, and it's just me sitting on a stool in my classroom, I used my cell phone and my handy dandy $7 tripod that I got years ago. It's a knockoff of the Gorilla tripod, $7 one I got on Amazon or Walmart. I can't remember where, but it was cheap. It is not the real thing. It's not the Gorilla kind. It looks like it though. And I just shot my 2-minute video, so my kids saw my face, and they know what's going to happen. And then next part, the thing I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to shoot another little video to show students how to communicate back to me. Even though we have Google Classroom and my kids have been using it, and my students know to email me, this is a little bit different, right? Because I'm not going to be there in person to remind them to email me, to remind them in person to check Google Classroom, or to check, in my case, Cisco NetAcad, which is the other tool I use. I'm not going to be there for that. Right? So I'm going to set up a video tomorrow, short video, how to communicate with Mr. Byrne over the next couple of weeks. That's what I'm doing. Now, you might have a different approach, and if you have a different approach, please feel free to share that in the chat. So this is this is a thought that I just put in here because actually the word digital telepathy was, or the term was a placeholder in the template I was using for these slides, and I thought to myself, none of us have it, so let's just make sure we're being clear in our communication. Don't make students guess at how to communicate with you, and don't make them guess at when you're going to communicate with them. To that end, I came up with point number 2. This is another thing I spent a lot of time on today, and will be spending a lot of time on in the next couple of weeks, creating a consistent communication schedule, whether that's phone, and now my students and their parents know that I'm going to be checking in by phone with them. Now, it may not be practical for everybody. Might be hard to get a hold of mom or dad or grandparent or whoever is a custodial person in that student's life. Might be hard to do. I'm not saying do it every day. I'm going to do it once a week. Boom, check in. I did it this Monday. I'm going to do it again next Monday. We're going to be out for at least 2 weeks, so I'm going to check in on those. That's so phone, email. My students are also on Snapchat. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to handle Snapchat. It's a weird area. I'd be happy to hear other people's thoughts about Snapchat. I've got a ton of kids who are on Snapchat, and a ton of kids who are on TikTok. I've thought about possibly putting some stuff up there. I just haven't done it yet, but it is an opportunity. Remind is good. Yep. And actually, my school uses Class Messenger, or School Messenger, sorry. We have School Messenger at my school, so I do have that capability as well. And then Google Classroom, and in my case, I also have Cisco's NetAcad that I use as well for one of my classes. So to that end, creating a consistent communication schedule. There are some tools that I've used in my own life, my business, over the last few years that fall well into my current situation as well. Gmail. For those of you who don't know, Gmail does have a scheduling tool. You can schedule emails to be sent in the future. And one of the things I'm doing tomorrow is I'm sitting down, I'm writing out a series of emails that I'm going to send out over the course of the next couple of weeks. Just quick little reminders, check-ins. And I'm fortunate that I only have 25 students to do this with, spread over the course of 3 courses. So I'm a little lucky that way. Now I will fully admit that I'm lucky that way. I have some friends who are teaching course loads of 100 plus. It's a little bit more difficult for them, and I fully own that and say that right out front. Google Classroom has a scheduling tool as well. If you're already using that, keep doing it. Blogger is great. For my Microsoft folks, you can schedule in Outlook, schedule in Microsoft Teams. If you're using a blog, every blogging platform has those options to schedule. I use Hootsuite for social media postings. You schedule all those things. Apologies while I drink my vitamin C, my emergency glass. Trying to make sure I stay healthy too. So use those scheduling tools, but use them on a schedule that mirrors your classroom. That's what at least that's what I'm going to do. I have a class that meets at 9:02. Guess what? I'm going to schedule an email to go out at 9:02. Try to keep that consistency. I'm not going to expect my students to, if I send an email out at 5:30 tonight, I'm not expecting them to check it and do whatever I give them at 5:30 at night, right? I'm going to set up as part of my expectations. Okay, I'm going to send it out at 9:02 because that's when our class meets. Class goes from 9:02 to 10:20. That's when I'm going to do those communications. I'm going to try to respond during those times. That's when I'm going to try to set up my Google Hangout. Google Hangouts Meet, right, for the kids who need that. And that's the tool that I'm going to end up using, is Google Hangouts Meet, because all my students already have that available to them. I'm going to try to keep to that consistent schedule. So far, this is not about a little preview there. So far, this is not about the tools, right? This is about the habits. That's one of the things that Wendy reiterated many times, is this is about habits, and it takes time to develop these habits to get into these things. And again, if you have some tips on those, feel free to put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A panel. I want to hear them. And I'll read them aloud to other people as well. So thing number 3, and tip number 3, I'm gonna share the big number 3 thing that I'm doing. Let your students see your face. And I intentionally chose this goofy picture of me. And this is, all right, so Stacy says, you need to explain this picture. I will explain this picture. I intentionally chose this goofy picture of me. I took this picture New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day, January 1st or 2nd. Some of you know that I got really back into fitness about a year and a half ago. I turned 40 and realized, oh my goodness, I'm almost 40 pounds heavier than I want to be. So I got back into competitive bike riding and bike racing again, and I lost almost 40 pounds in a year. So those jeans were the only jeans that fit me the year prior to that picture being taken. That's why that picture's there. That's why. And now it's a goofy picture. No, it's not booze. Not booze. That was January 1st or 2nd, first thing in the morning. My kids are playing on the floor there. Just a funny picture. But point being, let kids see your face. They want to see our faces. Even if you're doing goofy stuff, probably even more if you're doing goofy stuff. Don't worry about your hair within reason. Don't worry about if you didn't shave this morning. Or whatever. Let them see your face. They want to see your face. And from doing years of webinars for adults, I can tell you that statistically, people stay in the webinar longer if the webcam's on as opposed to if it's turned off. You're less likely to abandon if you could see someone talking and not just see slides. Right? So keep the webcam on, even if it's just a 2-minute video. Keep that webcam on as much as you possibly can. Kids want to see your face. They want to interact with you. They want to see you. Here, I'll show you the video I made this afternoon for my students. Let me bring that up. Then we'll talk about some tips for making videos and some tips for webinars. All right. Oop. Yeah, that's me. All right. So let me show you the one that I made for my students this afternoon. Get right here in my webinars. There it is. A note for Mr. Burns students. Hey kids, it's Mr. Byrne. Just want to give you a quick update on what's happening with computer tech classes now that we're out of school for a little while. So later this week, we'll start sending home some assignments for you to do. Freshmen, most of those are going to be code.org type of stuff. Sophomores, juniors, and senior, we're going to be looking at some Netacad stuff and some code high school things as well. And I'll also probably send home some interesting videos for you to watch and respond to using a tool called EdPuzzle. I know some of you have used that in the past. We'll be using it again. So you get the idea. Just a quick little video that I shot using my phone, and I'm going to be sending that out to all my students to watch. And Phil just put in a link for a goofy dancing, singing video. Phil, can I share this one with the whole group? If I can share it with the whole group, Phil, I will. All right. So Phil just put in a suggested video here for a goofy singing, dancing video. And let's bring it up here. So let's talk about some tips for making videos and hosting webinars. Someone asked me before I started the webinar if I'd cover some tools, and I will cover some tools. But before we get into tools, let's talk about just some general tips that we can use. Number one, we want to try to keep it short and sweet for our kids. I've always said I'd rather have 2 3-minute videos than 1 6-minute video. That's just how our attention spans work. That's how kids' attention spans work. I heard I don't want to call it a horror story, but I heard a story today from a teacher whose child goes to a different school district, that she got assigned to watch a 2-hour video. No kid is going to watch the 2-hour video at home right now. That's just not going to happen. Even if it's an awesome video, they're not going to watch it, right? And I'm sure the teacher who made that video was very well intended, but keep them short and sweet, right? Keep them short and sweet. Do a series of videos. Kids like chunks. It's just like giving out a reading assignment, right? You don't plop down War and Peace and say read this by the end of the week, right? You chunk out each little piece of each little chapter of it, right? By the way, when I taught language arts, I never made kids read War and Peace. I think the longest thing we read was the Odyssey, and it was an abridged version of the Odyssey. But even that, we chunked it out, right? We keep it short and sweet. Look at the camera as much as you can. On a related note to looking at the camera, try to keep your camera at eye level or even slightly higher if you can. Number one, it makes you look thinner. Number two, no one has to look up your nose. So that's just a nice little tip there. My friend Tony Vincent does a nice job of modeling that in almost all of his videos and all of his webinars. Tony's got some great tips as well. And create lots and lots of check-in questions. Thinner and younger, exactly, Stacy. Hold it up high, keep the webcam up high, and you'll look thinner and younger. Right? Same reason why I'm slouching right now, right? I'm slouching. Right? Same reason why when you watch your local news report, a lot of them are standing now. You don't see them sitting as often. News production trick. Get people standing. They look thinner, angle themselves a little differently, right? This is not a great look for me right now. There we go. Now it looks better. Okay. But create lots and lots of check-in questions. So, I've been doing this right now. I've been asking you to put in your comments, your questions, right? Ask kids to do that. Ask people to do that. Whether that's a check-in question of, hey, are you with me? Or, hey, do you have something to add to this? Or, with our students, and what I'm going to end up doing with students is I'm going to use EdPuzzle, and I'm going to be building some questions into either videos that I've made or videos that I find online, right? Probably a combination of the two. And if you do decide to do a webinar or a group class, right? A remote online class, whether that's Google Hangouts Meet or Zoom or even Skype or something like that. Do the, hey, are you with me? Or and call out a student. Don't be afraid to call out a student's name, or you can say, hey, Tommy, in 5 minutes, I'm going to come to you for some thoughts on XYZ, right? Or, hey, Matt, in 10 minutes, I'm going to come to you for your ideas about port forwarding. That's actually an example. That's not an example I just made up. That's one I'm actually going to use with my student named Matt. So yeah, create those check-in questions. Keep people engaged a little bit. By the way, on the webinar thing, if you decide to go down that road, there is an interesting book that I read this past fall. It's take everything with a grain of salt, right? It's called Expert Secrets, and it's really about making good webinars and presenting good webinars. They talk about some other topics in it as well, but the bulk of it is about presenting good webinars. And so check that out if you're really interested in that topic. All right, some tools for quickly creating instructional videos. I say if you're using a Chromebook, use Screencastify. Screencastify is great. It's free. Yeah, it saves to your Google Drive. Stacy, I actually wrote about Loom a while ago, and I have a video about Loom. I love Loom. Loom's great too. The reason I mention Google products is because I use them all the time in my classroom. That's why I mention them. Got nothing against Loom. I've written some blog posts about it. I've got a video about how to use Loom to send videos from your email and create videos from your email. So Loom is great. I like Screencast-O-Matic. I've been using that for years. Flipgrid, or just use your cell phone. Just use your cell phone and upload it to YouTube or Vimeo or your Google Drive or your Microsoft Teams. Pretty much every smartphone, especially if you're an Android or iOS user, you can do your basic cropping right on the phone. You don't have to go and use the full-fledged video editor for what we're talking about here. I'm not talking about creating viral videos and these masterpiece videos. We're talking about getting some content up and out quickly for our students to provide them with some check-in, and we're trying not to backslide, right? This first week or two, we're trying not to backslide. That's my big goal. Don't backslide. Then after that, we'll start new material. Jane asked, difference between Screencastify and Screencast-O-Matic. Screencastify is designed to work in your Chrome web browser. Works really well as a Chromebook tool. You can obviously use it on your Windows computer or your Mac computer as well if you're using Chrome. I like it because it saves directly to Google Drive, and from there you can post it right to your Google Classroom. Screencast-O-Matic I use as desktop software. You can use Screencast-O-Matic's web version. Their web tool isn't that great, I have to tell you. I mean, it's fine, but it's not awesome. It's not as good as Screencastify's web tool. But I use Screencast-O-Matic's desktop software as an option for doing some recording and editing on my desktop. So Screencast-O-Matic, and I pay for Screencast-O-Matic. It costs me $18 a year, I think, something like that. Right around there. It's like $1.50 a month. So yeah, $1.50 a month. So it works out to $18 a year. For me, that's worth it for the amount of videos that I make. Yeah, so those are the two key differences to that. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Screencast-O-Matic, I just opened it in the background. There it is. Tools for hosting our online meetings. Last week I made videos about Zoom and Google Hangouts Meet. Again, those are both on my YouTube channel, and actually both embedded into these slides that I'll share with you at the end here. Microsoft Teams has tools for online meetings. Cisco's WebEx is great if you have access to it. Cisco's made WebEx free for all schools that need it for the next 60 days. Is that right? At least the next 60 days. Forget the wording of the press release, but at least the next 60 days, Cisco's WebEx is free. Now, I mentioned a little while ago, I'm going to use Google Hangouts Meet with my students because that's what I think is going to be easiest, seeing as all my students have Chromebooks issued by the school and they all have G Suite accounts. If you're a Microsoft school, go with Microsoft Teams and the tools that are available there. I don't think this is a time to try to be teaching kids a whole lot of new tools while also trying to teach them online for the first time. If that makes sense, right? I'm going to try to prevent that backslide, keep current as much as I can with my students, and use the tools that I think they're going to be most familiar with, because that's where I think we're going to get the most bang for our buck, is in keeping those kids engaged. If we're throwing up a whole bunch of obstacles technology-wise, I think we're going to lose a lot of kids that way. Keith Westman, who runs Otis.com, great guy. He had a tweet last week. He said, if you're an adult who's ever tried to call in to a conference call and not had it be a complete disaster, imagine doing that with a group of third graders, right? So we're going to try to make this as seamless as possible. So someone asked about, sorry, I missed the question, just came through. Z asked about, do you allow the students to create their own Google Meets? If it was up to me, I would. However, I don't have the final say on what's turned on and off for students in my district. So the official position of my district is no. The position of Richard, however, is yes. Okay. So there's that. Without trying to throw anyone under the bus, that's how I'll leave that. So I hope that clarifies that. Okay. So let's take, another question just popped in. I don't know if that shows up on GoGuardian or not, Z. If they create a new one, yeah, don't know if that. I can look into that, but I don't know. What actually wouldn't take me long to figure that out, but I can't do it in real time. But I can figure that out. Send me an email and I'll tell you in the morning. I'll figure that out first thing in the morning. It won't take me long to do. I just can't do it while I'm doing a webinar at the same time. Okay. All right, so a couple other quick little things here. As I mentioned, I've got some videos embedded in these slides that you can take a look at your leisure. I'll be sharing all these with you. But I want to do a quick little demo of exactly what I'm going to do in terms of building in questions for my students into videos, right? So I'm going to use EdPuzzle, and if you've never seen EdPuzzle before, this is a great time to see it. If you've tried it in the past and you haven't seen it in a while, it's a slightly updated user interface, so that might be worth sticking around for as well. And after that, I'm going to I'll let you all go. So let's go to EdPuzzle. And let's see how it works. So here I am in my classes, and I'm actually in my demo account. I meant to be in my real school account. Oh well. I meant to be in my real school account. I'm actually in my demo account, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. Let's pick my classes. And there's my little demo class. And you can see I have an assignment that's in progress right now. Now, if I wanted to add a new class, I can just hit that little new class button, and you can import directly from your Google Classroom, or you can set one up from scratch and call it something like, video lessons with Mr. Byrne. You probably wouldn't call it that, but you could. Now, this one here, I'm going to do as an open one so that anyone who's here live right now can test it out as a student perspective. All right, so we're going to do this. This is also great for elementary schools so that kids don't have to enter a username and password. They can just join using a code that's provided by me. All right, so let's create that new little class. So video lessons with Mr. Burns, my brand new class. If I want to invite students to it, just give them that link. So I'm going to give you all that link. Now, if you go to use it right at this moment, now let me tell you about this before I give you the link. If you think you might use EdPuzzle as a teacher, when you click on this link, open it in a new incognito tab or new incognito window or private window. Don't use it from your teacher account. And I'll tell you why, because I've learned this the hard way, that sometimes people will go to use my demo link like this, and they'll accidentally sign themselves up as students instead of as teachers, and then they can't change their account without deleting their account and doing the process all over again. I hope that makes sense. So there's the link. Let me send that link. All right. So there's my little class code. Now, what I'm going to do is go back to my EdPuzzle home, and under my content, you'll see a couple of videos that I've previously found or uploaded. And oh, sorry, someone just put it in. Jessica just said you just have to sign out as a student, and then go back in as a teacher. We've recently trained teachers on it. All right, thank you, Jessica. That's a good little tip. Good to know. So here I am in my EdPuzzle. I've got 3 videos in my demo account. But what I really like about this, right, let's go to YouTube, okay, and I want to find a video about maybe port forwarding, if I can. There it is. So there's a video about port forwarding. This is one I'm actually going to use with my students. And I'm going to go in here and let's do a little edit. Now, I don't want to cut any of this except for the end. Just going to cut the end a little bit. Drag that down just a little bit. Okay. A little trouble dragging. There we go. Try it one more time. The only reason I'm cutting the end of it, or attempting to cut the end of it, there we go. The only reason I'm cutting the end of it is I know from having watched this video a bunch of times at the end of it, there are some not advertisements, but yeah, I guess advertisements to click the guy's affiliate links that are in the video down below to help support him, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to cut that part out of it just a little bit. Now I'm going to go to add questions, and I'm going to jump into the beginning of it here, and right around there, okay, I'm going to add a quick multiple choice question. And I'll just say to my students, true or false, a wireless router and a wireless access point are always the same thing. And I'll add my computer. There we go. And so now I've added in my question. When I go to share this, so I'm going to continue that. At your home. Hit that finish button. Let's assign it to the class. Video lessons with Mr. Byrne. Give it a due date of the end of the week. Turn on closed captioning, and you'll see there I have prevented you from skipping ahead in the video. Now, obviously, I didn't use Google Classroom, so I'm not going to post it on Google Classroom right now. And assign it. So there it is. So now I've assigned it to everyone. Anyone who has that link that I shared before, you can go and watch the video and answer the question. Now, if you do this where your students have to sign in, you'll see their names, and you'll see which questions they answered correctly, which ones they answered incorrectly, and how long they spent watching your video. I should point out that under my content, you can also upload your own video. So if you do create a short little video for your kids using your phone or using Screencast-O-Matic or Screencastify, you can upload those. So last little tip, last little video tip, not necessarily about EdPuzzle, just videos in general. One of the quickest ways to put together a video lesson is to do what I've just done. You put together some slides, or maybe you already have some slides. You fire up Screencast-O-Matic, or Screencastify or Loom. You can see right there, was it Stacy who was asking me about Loom? I forget who was asking about Loom, sorry. Was Stacy? Yeah, it was. So if I was going to use Loom, right, just go use that tool. There's my Screencastify. I'm on a new computer, so I'm constantly re-signing into things right now. Apologize for that. There we go. There's my Screencastify as soon as it logs in. Okay, good. And we can do my desktop, my browser tab, webcam only, right? Now, right now, because I'm already using my microphone for another application, it's not going to recognize my microphone. It's not going to enable, and it's not going to access my webcam because I already have my webcam being used by GoToWebinar. By the way, if you do have access to GoToWebinar, by all means, use it. It's just massively expensive, so most people don't have access to it. It costs $200 a month, so most schools do not have it for their teachers. I license it myself personally for all the professional development that I do throughout the year, so I actually personally pay for it. It's the most expensive thing I pay for every month, other than childcare. Nothing is more expensive than childcare. Yeah, so that's a quick way to do a short video that you could then upload into your EdPuzzle and ask your questions about it. All right. I think I covered it. I think I covered everything that I'm going to be doing over the next week and a half to 2 weeks to get my kids up to speed online. Big shout out to Dr. Oh, yes, good question. Microphones. You don't have to go out and buy one. You can use, right? You probably aren't going out anywhere, right? I personally use this blue Snowball microphone. I've had it for years. It's great. It works well. Costs about $35, $30 to $45, depending on where you find it. Nice little rig. You can use, and I've lost track of it now. On your phone, just keep it arm's length away, and you're good to go. I pop it into my little Gorilla holder, and that's it. A nice stack of books to keep your webcam on your laptop elevated. That's it. So, yeah. So, thanks everyone for joining me. I have to tell you that this is probably my most informal webinar that I do. It's been fun. I hope it's been helpful to some of you. If you have questions for me, feel free to reach out to me. richard@burn.media is my email address, or go to practicaledtech.com, and I have a handout that covers most of what I talked about tonight on there as well, and also be putting these slides up there. So thank you, Z. I appreciate it. Thank you, Stacy, for all your questions. And Phil, thank you for the awesome video. That actually made my night. I'm going to go watch the whole thing. So thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you dropping in here. And if I can help in any way, please let me know. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. And don't forget, wash your hands. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.